How many times while playing Minecraft have you stepped through a portal or respawned only to find yourself dying immediately because you spawned in the middle of the forest instead of at your home? Whether it's because you forgot to set your spawn or someone broke your bed without your knowledge, this would obviously be a pretty lame way to end your hardcore world. It's the last time you expect to be killed because you're not stupid enough to forget to set a bed, right? Well, like most of you watching this, I am in fact human, meaning that I've made a lot of mistakes that probably should have resulted in the death of my hardcore world. Don't you think you should be protected while you're at your most vulnerable? With portal lag, it's even possible to die without having the world load in yet. Today on Become Invincible, I'm going to take you through the steps needed to keep your spawn as safe as possible. The first question you need to ask yourself before baby-proofing your spawn is, where actually is it? If you're watching this before starting your hardcore world, mark off the block that you spawn on with a small tower so that you can find it for later. Or alternatively, you can just take a screenshot of your coordinates. If you're already a decent bit into your hardcore world, delete it and start anew, as all of your labors are in vain.
You retain no knowledge before you watch my videos.
No, but seriously, all you need to do to find your spawn is to grab one of these babies, as any compass not tied to a lodestone will automatically lead you back to spawn. If you've beaten the Ender Dragon and you're still somehow so much of a penny pincher that you can't spend 4 iron and 1 redstone on this, then you can just break your bed and head back through the exit portal within the end. To quickly make this area safe, light up from 10 to 30 blocks in each direction, wall off the area, and maybe even stick in an iron door. Using F3 plus G, you can see the entire chunk that your world spawn is set to, and you can wall it off accordingly. Don't add a roof, however, as that will cause you to spawn somewhere outside of your safe area. Consider adding a half slab rim around the edges of the wall so that spiders can't climb up it and just waltz right in. If you don't end up building your base at spawn, either because it's too dangerous or the land just isn't up to your standards, once you're well established enough, you should still head back there and light it up within a 128 block diameter. That's the furthest distance away from you that mobs can spawn, and while you could probably get away with a smaller diameter, 128 by 128 is by far the safest. After making sure it's all safe and lit up, the next thing you're gonna do is flatten spawn. Burn down trees, destroy natural landmarks, and ask yourself, am I the bad guy? And now everything is looking real ugly. Feel free to replace this with the block palette of your choice, but your best bet is to choose something blast resistant like obsidian so you don't have to keep replacing your floor all the time. Or you could go with something like glass because it's spawnproof. Spawnproofing is the process that you use to keep hostile mobs from spawning. The most well-known method of doing so using torches. Torches on the walls, torches on the floor, torches standing 5 feet apart because they ain't but there are other ways to make your spawn a hostile mob-free paradise. As I said before, glass works well and it's a stylish way of showing off what you got going on down under. Before I continue, I would like to apologize to Australians, God, and you the viewer for having to hear that. There are various forms of lighting you can use to spruce up your spawn, whether that be glowstone, prismarine, or the newly added shroom light, or if you're a Chad like me, you use beacons. Until you realize they lag your computer to 10 FPS every time you look at them, so you have to spend an hour and a half digging them back out. You can also spawn-proof blocks with buttons or half slabs, but I wouldn't recommend that as it leaves whatever blocks you place floating there. You could also use slime blocks with buttons on top to make your area fall damage proof, but it slows you down as you walk along, and it's pretty annoying to walk on in general. Hay bales would be a good substitute as they reduce fall damage by 85%, but if lightning strikes your spawn, the entire thing is going to go up in flames. I also built a glass safe room high up in the sky so that mobs can't get to it, so if you have an elytra, I would recommend this. Make sure to fill in the corner blocks of the structure though, because phantoms can clip through the wall and deal damage to you if you don't. One thing I haven't mentioned about spawn is that it's made up of spawn chunks, a special variety of the 16 by 16 block areas the game splits the world up into in order to load faster. This is the reason your render distance is measured in chunks. Spawn chunks have a unique property not found anywhere else in a Minecraft world. You see, in a 19 by 19 chunk area of spawn, the chunks are always loaded, meaning that you can have as many redstone machines as you want running 24/7. This includes iron farms, super smelters, and even fully automatic tree harvesters. However, you're not going to want to build anything there you care about just yet. Oh, you think you're safe just standing there like that? You think that's safe? You just standing there. No. Now why is that? Well, because you're above sea level, you dummy. Hold on, that doesn't make any sense. 1.13 added without a shadow of the doubt the worst thing to ever be implemented in Minecraft. No, I really don't think I'm exaggerating. That's right, these evil skeleton stingrays of doom will spawn in droves after you haven't slept in at least 3 days. They can spawn anywhere in the sky, save for 2 exceptions. If a player has blocks that obstruct light above them, phantoms will not be able to spawn. If the player is below y equals 64, sea level, they will also not be able to spawn. Unless you like having a giant looming obelisk casting a shadow over your lands at all times, it's time to whip out that pickaxe because it's time to start digging. As a side note, I wanted to do this gag with an actual pickaxe, but as it turns out, we don't own an actual pickaxe, so I had to make do with Fortnite llama. Sorry, Reddit. Now, the reason I said not to build anything you care about here yet is because you can save a lot of time and effort by utilizing a TNT bomber to break any blocks down to bedrock. And unfortunately, TNT isn't yet smart enough to distinguish stone from fragile redstone components and will destroy anything and everything with reckless abandon. If you're gonna dig out your spawn, you should make it at least 40 blocks deeper than the surface level. That way any mobs that spawn outside of your spawn-proof perimeter and happen to fall in will just die. An added advantage of being so deep is that building mob farms down low increases their output, meaning you'll have a super efficient hostile mob farm you can AFK for days on end. For various reasons, this will make your world lag less, as the game has to do less checks for random ticks and load in less mobs. I'll admit, I don't really understand how it works entirely, but there are a bunch of other people who do understand how that stuff works. Check them out here. But besides that, the results speak for themselves. Now, there is one other thing you can do, not just to keep your spawn mob proof, but the entire world from spawning in new mobs. Remember what we were talking about spawn chunks earlier? In a radius around those chunks are what we call lazy chunks. These chunks have some special properties that, again, I don't really understand, but the point is, if you get either 70 shulkers, 70 withers, or 70 villagers that have been converted into zombie villagers, and you put them into lazy chunks, you can stop hostile mob spawning across your entire world. As a disclaimer, this only applies to the dimension where you place these hostile mobs. Don't go into the nether or the end expecting hostile mobs not to spawn. And no, this will not stop the ender dragon from spawning. Besides spawners and summon mobs, new hostile mobs will not generate in your overworld. This means you can go literally anywhere in your overworld without the fear of a creeper sneaking up on and exploding on you. You need to load these chunks at least once every time you log in, but after that, you're essentially in a peaceful world. Now, this is extremely endgame, so much so that I haven't even done it myself. Shulker wrangling is a risky business, and overall, this is pretty difficult to set up. Wither caging is easier, but you need a wither skeleton farm before you can even think of getting 70 withers. Additionally, this is obviously not an intended game mechanic, so don't be surprised if it gets patched out in the future. But hey, isn't it worth surviving up until then? I'll let you be the judge. Thanks for watching. If you like this kind of content, make sure to let me know down below, like this video, and subscribe. In the meanwhile, I gotta go get some W's with my buddy Ninja.